Now F1 2021 has finally been announced, but for now it's back to reality as we return to F1 2020 and we are back with some more Williams Road to Glory, of course, with the F1 2021 mod. Now today we're here for the Austrian Grand Prix, and of course, as you guys know, we are currently in a title fight with the Williams in season 2 and we're battling Bottas, Hamilton and Verstappen, and it's going to get really spicy as we approach the halfway stage of the season. Now if you guys missed the previous episode, then I'll leave that linked up in the top right hand corner of the screen, so go check that out, click the link and go check it out. But today we're going to jump into Austria, the Red Bull Ring, and we're going to see what happens. It's a power circuit. I really enjoy it, so let's get into it. If you guys like the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's see what happens. As always, we jump into the weather forecast first and foremost, and we have no rain expected, which is great news for us. We then look at the performance chart, and to be fair, not many changes besides Red Bull taking a big step forward. Most teams not really bringing upgrades this weekend, so things remain largely unchanged. We do have 2 major chassis upgrades on the way, and if they both arrive, we should overtake Renault Alpine and McLaren, so fingers crossed we can try and achieve that. But with that said, we move into practice, and Austria, a track that I quite enjoy, only 10 corners, so every single one of them are absolutely critical. And I had a bit of a moment in practice, as you can see there, cheeky little Spinella, as the kids like to say nowadays, as we run a bit wide onto the curb, spin the car. We then eventually kind of improved our pace, improved the driving, and had a pretty decent end to the session. And after practice, we scored almost 800 R&D points, and that's a pretty good amount between myself and George Russell, and hopefully we'll try and score a few more between qualifying and the race, and fingers crossed we can add to those 2 major upgrades later on in this episode. So you never know, maybe for the next race we could have up to 3 upgrades onto the car, and the next race is Silverstone, the AI's strongest track, so we need to be on top form for that race. But with that said, we move into qualifying, and more specifically into Q1, and currently you can see I'm at the end of my first time lap. Now around Austria, because the lap is so short, you can actually do 2 back-to-back time laps, even with minimum 5 kilogram fuel, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, because you can see we are P11, but the lap wasn't that great in terms of, Russell is P9, so I know I can go faster than this. And eventually we cut onto the end of the second lap, and you can see here we're pretty much 4 tenths up, and it's going to be a much better improvement as we go up to P5, and that lap will be enough to see us comfortably into Q2. So a decent Q1, and to be fair, George Russell getting into Q2 as well in a comfortable P13, so seems like the car's working pretty well around here, which is great to see. Of course, we've got that Mercedes engine in the back, which is going to be a big plus. But Q2, you can see a fresh set of tyres, and we've got a bit of traffic in the form of Pierre Gasly, who just gave me a bit of dirty air through these final couple of corners. I was struggling to keep the car on track, but eventually we crossed the line and go P6 with 1 minute 2.1 from what I can tell on my little preview screen. We then move on to my best lap in Q2, and this had to be good because we're currently P8, and if everyone else behind improves, which they probably will, we're going to get knocked out, because at the minute we're all, I believe, within a tenth of a second. So this has to be a good lap from us. So up towards turn 1, bringing the car over to the left, 5th gear, attacking the apex, and then opening DRS on the exit, as we're going to end sector 1 marginally up on our previous best. Flat out through turn 2, which isn't really a corner, up towards 3, braking just after the 100-meter board, and important through here to focus on your exit. I didn't really do a good job, messed it up a little bit, got a bit of oversteer, and just in general the car was a bit unstable, so we're going to lose a bit of time. Down towards turn 4 though, we actually got the brakes nice and late. I run it in a bit hot, but we do actually get a good exit, short shifting out of there, getting a good bit of momentum, heading through 5, and now down towards turn 6. Again, not great, missing the apex quite, by quite some way. Then through turn 7, this time hitting the apex beautifully and using all of the exit curve, and we're now just over a tenth up as we head into the final 2 corners. 7th gear through turn 9, and then down to turn 10 in 5th gear, really aggressive with the curbs again as we open DRS, and we improve by just a tenth and a half, but that is enough for us to go P6, which is good. That will take the pressure off, and fingers crossed that will be enough. Yes, it is. So there we go. We get through in P6. In the end, we got through by pretty much 2 tenths. So the improvement was necessary. Russell out in P15, unfortunately for us. So bit of a shame. But now we move into the main event, and that is the Q3 session. Now this is my first time lap. Again, got a fresh set of soft tyres on the car. And to be fair, it was a decent banker into the 1 minute 0.8, which is very strong for me. Sub 1 minute 2 lap already. And we go P5, which is great. But we then move on to the final lap, and this was my last attempt in Q3. So let's see how the lap goes, and fingers crossed we can try and improve on our previous best lap here today. And there we go, running up to the line. It's an absolute stonker as we improve by 3.5 tenths and move up into the top 4, and we qualify on the second row of the grid. So an extremely competitive qualifying from us. The car really came together right at the end of qualifying, and we get it on the second row alongside Lewis Hamilton. The top 3 covered by 3/100ths of a second, which is insane. Verstappen though on pole, Bottas second, and we get 4th behind Hamilton and ahead of Alexander Albon. So there you go, there's your lot for qualifying, and there's your top 10. Max does outscore us by a point in the rivalry, but still no big damage done. And let's jump into the race, and let's see if we can try and cause a bit of trouble and get ourselves onto the podium here for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Martinez, Alexander Albon, and Gasly, Perez, Sainz, Stroll, and Daniel Kvyat, Ricciardo, Norris, Sebastian Vettel, and Russell, Ocon, Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Leclerc, and Nobuharu Matsushita. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Here we are then on the grid, P4 after that very strong qualifying performance, and we're in the mix. We've got both Merckx and Verstappen ahead of us. It's our 3 championship rivals directly in front, so it's going to be an all-out battle, and the championship is already all up for grabs, and it's all to play for, so it's really, really exciting. And we're going to see if we can try and get our teeth into this race and try and make a couple of moves, maybe get into the top 3, top 2, or maybe even take the lead, who knows. But in terms of the race strategy, we're going to start on the soft tyre, switch to the hard compound tyre, one-stop strategy, pretty straightforward here, and no rain expected. Fuel-wise, 1.2 laps, so we can run rich mix when necessary, and yeah, we're going to try and see if we can give the top 3 a bit of a hard time. So let's jump into the race here at Austria. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get a good start. The lights are on. RPM a little bit low, but we might get away with that. Yes, we will. Decent enough. Up towards turn 1 we go. Albon looking for a move down the inside. We're just going to run it nice and wide there, just to make sure we stay in front. Verstappen being challenged by Bottas for the race lead. Now Hamilton's actually going to go back after his teammate. It's all kicking off here, up towards turn 3. On the first lap, going to try and get a bit of a cut back. Can I get the traction here? Can we get Bottas maybe? In the wheel tracks, in the slipstream. Looks like we're not making much of a dent in terms of straight line speed. So we're going to have to just wait for now and hang back. Seems the Merc is pretty speedy on the opening lap. Verstappen flying away in the race lead so far. He's got absolutely going for this, so we're going to have to try and stick with him here. Let's see if the Mercs have the pace. They should do, as they are comfortably the fastest car on the grid. But the target right now is to try and pull away from the cars behind. If we can try and create a bit of separation and kind of break up the DRS train, that's going to really help us out long term this race. So I'm going to see if I can try and drop Albon and Perez behind us. The lap one draws to a close, and we are well in the mix still. Tucked in behind Bottas quite nicely. Looks like we're just pushing that gap to Albon now to the 1 second window as we head through here. Had a bit of a scruffy lap. Good first sector. Gap now over a second to Alex Albon. Just going to make sure he stays out of range up towards turn 1 here for this next straight. Hamilton making a bit of an error there, as looks like he's coming under some pressure from Bottas. Oh my god, he almost squeezes Bottas onto the grass. This is allowing Verstappen to pull away here as the two Mercs do battle. I'm going to just wait and see what happens between these two. Bottas down the inside of his teammate into turn 3. We're going to just get the slipstream and the DRS now. Heading down towards turn 4. Can we go past as well? Down the inside of Hamilton. Going to try and pick up the throttle early. Yes, there we go. Nice. Let's try and follow Bottas here and try and stick with him. It is going to mean Albon's going to come back into play, but that's okay. We've gained the place. We've got past Lewis. That's all that matters. If we can get Bottas now, that would be great. Still got plenty of DRS and fuel to kind of play with as well. I could go for the pass on Bottas here, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Once I can definitely tell that I'm faster, we'll go for the move. But for now, I still feel like Bottas has something to offer and he can drag me along, so we're going to just follow him for now. Oh, yellow flag. Is that behind? I think it is behind. That could mean a safety car. Stand by.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
Yes.
Strategy is available on the MFD.
Yes. We're going to pit for the mediums. Perfect.
Okay, copy that.
Going to pit for mediums. Where are the mediums? I need the mediums. Nice. Alright, into the pit lane we go. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Great timing on that one. We'll take that. Panicking for a moment there. I was trying to get my strategy sorted out. Russell's going to pit as well. Hopefully he doesn't get held. Away we go. Nice. We're ahead of Albon still, which is crucial. Alright, we're going to rejoin the safety car queue. Looks like everyone's going for soft tyres still. We're going for the mediums, so a different compound here. And I'm going to try and save my used set of soft tyres for later on in the race. So yeah, let's see how this goes. But this is making us go for a two-stop strategy. Okay, safety car in this lap. So we're going to go ahead and try and get a bit of tyre warm-up on the go. This should do the trick, hopefully, at a reasonable speed. Just going to wait for a bit of a breakaway here. Just going to use this straight to kind of get some temperature in the rears. There we go, that'll do it. That's enough temperature. Let's get ready for the restart. This is going to be interesting now. It seems like I'm the only person on medium tyres that I can tell, so we might be a little bit off the pace at first, or we could be okay, you never know. Maybe the straight line speed can help us stay in it. But we need to try and maintain a good pace now, because we're going to have to stop again. The same as all the cars up ahead, but we're going to have a much better strategy. So in theory, all the cars that are still yet to pit are going to go for the hard tyre, whereas we're going to go for softs later on, and we should be faster even on the mediums once they eventually go for the hard tyre and they pit. So we should still have the edge as we manage to go around the outside of Ocon here. Can we creep past the Renault Alpine? It's going to be a drag race. Looks like the first part of the straight goes to the Renault Alpine. The second part of the straight is going to be ours, and we've got a bit more straight line speed. We go all the way around the outside. Can we get this one? I'm going to have to drain the ERS to get ahead here. And Verstappen pits. That is terrible timing. Alright, let's see. P4 now. Interesting. So the front three are not pitting. So Verstappen would have gone for a hard tyre. It looks like these three that are staying out are going to try and go for a medium and go for the one stop with that tyre. So it looks like we're going to have to make some moves here to try and make this work. So right now we've dropped Ocon out of DRS range. I need to try and get past the cars ahead. Obviously, once the first 2 laps are done after the safety car, the AI will run out of DRS, and that's when they become a lot more vulnerable. Verstappen just clocked in a 1 minute 4.4, which is 6/10 quicker than my previous lap. So whatever tyre Max is on, he's got some great pace. In the meantime, battles are kicking off now. Ocon's been overtaken by multiple cars, but you can see in the process, Albon lost a lot of time battling with him. And now we're going to see the Mercedes cars, I think, battle or pit, one or the other. It looks like, yeah, it's going to be Hamilton who pits. Kvyat gets held there quite badly because of the pit entry. I'm going to try and pass Kvyat here. Let's see if we can get him out of turn 1, as he won't have DRS anymore. Let's try and line him up for the pass and make the overtake. Although, to be fair, Kvyat would pit in this lap anyways, but I just want to get the pass done. We know how fast the AlphaTauri is in the straight. You can see how fast it is. I'm not even making a dent, to be honest with you. We're going to go down the inside, though, into the hairpin. Nicely done. And then Bottas should be pitting this lap, so let's just push on now and use the clean air. We've got a 3-second gap to Albon. That's what we've got to try and maintain now. And there it is. Valtteri into pit lane. That's going to release us into the race lead. Right, crucial phase of the race now. The pace has to be strong for a few laps. New personal best, but still can't get below a 1:05, which is interesting. Okay, Gasly, Ricciardo, Albon all pit. Albon losing out quite a lot, actually. He got overtaken by those two, and seems like they were actually quicker than me right now, even with their pace on those soft tyres. Looks like the remaining soft tyre runners are going to pit, so let's see how this all shakes out. So we've got Bottas and Hamilton on the mediums, Kvyat on the mediums as well. My pace isn't great. I'm struggling a little bit on my tyres, actually. The car doesn't feel that great in the race so far. So, yeah, I'm not too happy with the balance. Okay, that was a better lap. Into the low 105s. Much more on the pace. Bottas is flying, though. Tyre indicator has just come on. So that means, I think, our rears, yeah, left rear is on 60%. So we are starting to run out of rubber. I'm going to try and squeeze it to lap 26 if I can. And then we're going to pit for the soft tyre. DRS is just going offline. Not a big deal. Hopefully we can get that fixed in the pit lane, but car's starting to fall apart a little bit. Okay, we're going to pit this lap. Managed to stretch it out one more lap, which is good. And the pace from the cars behind is pretty strong, but we've done a good job of going quite long and keeping the pace consistent, considering we've got a few more laps, you know, in terms of tyre wear compared to everybody else behind us. Into the pit lane we go. Nice. Right, used set of softs. Tyre wear is looking pretty bad, to be fair. All of our tyres above 60. The left rear 71%. Hopefully DRS will get fixed here. But here we go. 2.5 standard stop. That should put us out just behind the Mercedes cars. Can we get out ahead of Gasly here? It's going to be close. Oh, not quite. Can we? No, not quite. Just behind Kvyat as well. And just ahead of Ricciardo. So we're right in the thick of it here. It's actually pretty close. Ricciardo goes up the inside. He's actually going to get Kvyat as well, which I wasn't expecting. They're both a bit slow off the corner though. No DRS though means I can't really get by here, which is a bit of an issue. I'm going to use the ERS to try and see if I can make a move. Ricciardo's actually going to go for a move on Kvyat here, so that's annoying. Bit of a shame, that one. I thought DRS would have got fixed in the pit lane, but it wasn't to be. So let's see if we can pick these both off. Going to wait for the right opportunity. Like here, for example, maybe. Can we get Ricciardo? No, not quite. Gonna have to wait a bit longer. I don't really want to drain all of my ERS just getting past both of these guys. But at the same time, we need to make use of the soft tyre. But until DRS comes back, it's going to be difficult. It really is. Okay, we're going to go for it now. I've sat behind Ricciardo this whole time. DRS is still not working, but I've let my ERS charge to a full 100%. So we've got to go for it now. Even though we don't have DRS, it's important to time the overtakes. So I'm going to try and see if I can stay close. Maybe up towards turn 3. I've got plenty of ERS to use. I'm going to try and use it. Down the inside. That's one down. Late move. Lovely. Let's get Kvyat next. That might be the move to go for, to be fair, every single lap. The only issue is we may not be able to go for the fastest lap because my soft tyres won't be that fresh by the time we get past the traffic here, which is a bit of a shame. No sign of Verstappen though, which is really surprising. So Verstappen's strategy really hasn't worked out for him. He's nowhere. So again, the championship is going to kind of twist and turn again here today. But let's focus on ourselves first. Let's try and get onto that podium. Right now the AlphaTauri is doing a solid job here. Look at this. We're right on Kvyat's gearbox. Trying to use minimal ERS, to be honest, in rich mix as it stands. Kvyat moves in the brake zone, so we're going to go around the outside. That's another one down. Gasly's the next one. Let's try and get him. He hasn't got DRS, so this should be an easier overtake. Alright, let's line up here for the overtake. Hamilton's actually not that far away either, and Bottas is out front, so this is perfect. And now we've got our DRS back. This is great. Excellent timing here. We're going to go to the inside. I'm going to just let off the brakes a little bit. Bit of contact, but we go down the inside, and crucially, I get DRS for this zone. Luckily, no wing damage, but that was a bit of a scruffy one. I was trying to do the old trick where you kind of back off, but Gasly was not moving. We can now go hunt down Hamilton. We've got enough fuel and tyres for this, so let's see if we can make it work. I'm enjoying the grip of these tyres as we're going to set a new fastest lap. 1 minute 4.1. There we go. That's going to give us the extra point as we close in on Lewis Hamilton for this P2. If I can get Hamilton here, this would be a perfect result. Second place and a fastest lap would be ideal for us right now. Every passing lap I can feel the soft tyres starting to let go. Another fastest lap, and this time we're going to have DRS on Lewis. So let's try and use it to get by here. I'm going to try and save a little bit of DRS for the overtake. Let's see if we can challenge him. We need to get past ASAP before he starts pushing, like the AI always do in the final few laps. This is it. We have to make this move right now. We don't have long because the AI will go for their usual kind of, all out using their ERS in the last 2 laps. So this move has to happen right now. Turn 1, keep it nice and tidy. DRS, use a little bit of the ERS, and this move should happen by itself. Going to use a little bit more there just to try and close the gap a little bit. Down the inside, on the brakes, slight lock up, but we keep it clean, and we go through, and we get DRS for the next straight as well for good measure. Alright, let's try and drop Hamilton out of DRS range now. Let's see if that's possible. There we go, we've drained the battery. We've got Hamilton out of range. An improved fastest lap. 2 laps to go in this race now. I don't think we can win it. I don't think we've got anything left in the reserves to try and fight Bottas. Let's just try and solidify the second place. Well, here we go then. Last lap of the race, and we've done it once again. We've upset the odds here, and we're going to put the cat amongst the pigeons as we're going to finish in a phenomenal second place with a fastest lap after starting P4. Bottas is going to win. No sign of Max Verstappen, and Hamilton is behind us. We'll take that. Get in.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
Well, here we go then, looking at the final results. Bottas picks up the W. We finish in second place with the fastest lap. Hamilton P3. Missing out the podium, we have Gasly and Kvyat having a strong race, both of them for AlphaTauri, ahead of Albon, Ricciardo, Vettel, Sainz and Verstappen, scoring just 1 point in the end here today. Norris misses out in the top 10, along with Stroll, Leclerc, Ocon, Russell, Magnussen, Giovinazzi, Matsushita, Grosjean and Perez out of the race for the Aston Martin Racing Point. We then look at the driver standings, and after today's race, Verstappen leads by 1 point over Hamilton. He's 8 points clear of Bottas, and we are 27 points off the lead. So we're in the mix. It's 27 points covering the top 4, and it gets tighter and tighter. But the next race is Silverstone, and as you guys know, that is the AI's strongest circuit. So we are in for a bit of a tricky one, I think. We look at the constructor standings, and we remain in third place. We actually extend our gap to AlphaTauri slightly, but still keeping around about 30 points in terms of cushion to the Italian team. Now, it's worth noting the next race, Silverstone, is the AI's strongest, but we have 2 major chassis upgrades on the way, and we're going to add some more. So let's jump into it and let's make our car even faster. Well, another race down, and it's a flawless race for us, which means we take a huge step forward in terms of potentially winning the rivalry versus Max Verstappen, and barring an absolute disaster, we should take the win in the next round. Even though it's Silverstone, we should still secure the rivalry victory. A decent change in terms of acclaim, but still approaching the halfway stage before we reach level 14, but we're now going to go for the upgrades. Okay, so it looks like before we jump into the next part of the episode, we have to do a contract renewal, so we're going to go ahead and do that first. So we're going to renegotiate with Williams, of course, and we're going to see what we can do. So looking at the different options here, I'm going to try and go for a medium risk, and we're going to see if that works. I've gone with the low one so far, but I feel like my performances justify a medium risk contract. Let's see if we get it. Fingers crossed it arrives. Yes, nice. Okay, very decent. That's going to give us a bit extra in terms of the perks, which I really am excited for. Now, with that improved contract, we've got the option of improving our perks. Now, there's two that I'm looking at, obviously. It's the development feedback, which would increase our resource point income to 25%, or the power mapping, which would reduce engine wear by 20%. Now, both of these are tempting because if we do the engine wear, it means we won't have to upgrade reliability that much, and we can, spend points elsewhere, or we get the extra points. Having, weighed up the options, I'm going to go ahead though and purchase development feedback. So we're going to get that on, and hopefully that will help us out a lot moving forward. And then I've still got enough left over to purchase media coaching. I could go for it, but I'm going to hold back. I'm going to see if I can try and get the next power mapping one. So yeah, good news all round. We're now going to move into the upgrades. Now, with the contracts sorted out, you can see we've got two upgrades on the way, the hydraulics and the heat dispersing wheel rims. We've got 1,300 R&D points, so we are going to go ahead and look for some more improvements. And I think this time we're going to go for some aerodynamic work. I think the issue is they're a bit too expensive because all we have available are major upgrades. We could go to the engine. We've got a few minor ones available here. Even then, they're relatively expensive. Red Bull have taken a big step forward in terms of engine performance, but I'm going to go ahead and buy a minor engine power upgrade. We're going to get that on the car. I am going to try and rush it. I'm going to take a chance here and see if it arrives to Silverstone, which is a power circuit, and we're going to see if we get lucky. That means we have 3 upgrades on the way, 2 of them are major, and if they all arrive, we should take a big step into the midfield. So with that said, let's move on and let's see if the upgrades all arrive before the next race. What can I say? It's our lucky day today, guys. It's all arrived. Every single upgrade on the car, along with the increased resource point, of course, that we're going to get from the driver perk. Everything has worked out perfectly for us, and we are ready for the next race in Silverstone. To look at the confirmation, you can see we've got nothing in progress, and all the upgrades are on. So both major chassis upgrades are on there. You can see we've actually overtaken Renault Alpine, and we're just behind AlphaTauri, and then the engine upgrade has arrived, so we're back on top there as well. And of course, we're still at the bottom on the aerodynamics, but we'll try and work on that next. By the way, things are looking very decent, and I'm looking forward to the next race in Silverstone. Even though it's the AI's best track, we've got 3 big upgrades in the car to kind of counteract that, and hopefully we can still stay somewhat competitive heading into this race. But guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like. Let's try and break over 1,000 likes on this one. Subscribe for daily F1 content on the channel, and as always, check out the 2 videos on screen. And a big thank you and shout out to the members for supporting the content as always. But guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.